In Douma, the protests were not a fleeting outburst, but an extension of accumulated rage. Young men decided to raise their voices above a silence that had suffocated hope. They were asking for their share of dignity, for a tomorrow untainted by fear, with restrained anxiety. Mr. President, Douma is burning, the crowds are growing, and the chants are speaking names that shatter the silence. The situation is slipping out of control. The solution is clear, Mr. President. The response must be decisive. A message to anyone who believes they can challenge the regime. Send the 4th Division, the Brigade, and the 9th Division to the outskirts of Douma. Establish permanent checkpoints and disperse gathering points by force. A conventional response will not be enough. If we do not silence these voices now, thousands will pour out from every alley. We will strike with chemical weapons. And is there any other option? There is no other choice. Execute it. The decision was like signing the fate of an entire city, not written in ink, but etched in gas and suffocation. It was not a choice made in a single room. It was a chapter written in blood and dying breaths. When the doors of reason close upon a single option, even the air itself becomes a battlefield. And Douma would pay the price for every breath. In Douma, on the 7th of April, 2018. This time, the shells did not fall to smash a stone or a wall. Instead, a poisonous air descended, a hidden killer that snatched life from children and women. Death that night was transparent, passing through breaths, leaving the body cold, as if it had never been alive just moments ago. Oxygen! Quickly! The field hospital was submerged in disorder. Water was poured over pale faces, and oxygen masks were passed from one body to another. But the poison was faster, filling lungs before a single drop of clean air could reach them. The houses in Douma were nothing more than fragile walls, attempting to protect their inhabitants. But gas knows no doors or windows. It crept into the room like a thief, silently, without warning, and began filling chests before it filled the space. The mother rushed to the window, seeking a breath of air, only to find it already tainted. The children choked in her hands, their eyes widening in terror, then went dark. The grandmother collapsed first, followed by the little ones, and the mother found herself alone, dragging heavy bodies in her arms. This moment was not captured by cameras, nor documented by lenses, yet it repeated itself in countless homes where entire families fell together, as if death had decided to gather them at one hour. When the victims reached the field hospital, there was not enough to save them all. Bodies outnumbered the medicine, and suffocation outran oxygen. Men helped with bare chests, sprinkling water on blue faces, pressing their hands on hearts that had stopped beating. More than 40 lost their lives within minutes, and 400 others teetered between life and death. Blueness on lips, foam at mouths, wandering eyes, signs not unfamiliar to the doctors. They had seen it before, in Ghouta, in Khan Sheikhoun, in every city where the regime decided to annihilate with a weapon that leaves nothing but marks on lungs and memory. That night, the hospital was not a place for healing, but a witness to a city killed twice, once by gas and once by the silence of the world. In the basement, fear of shelling was absent this time. The fighters, accustomed to the sounds of artillery and the smell of gunpowder, faced an invisible enemy, invading the chest without trace or warning. It slipped into shelters as it had into homes, attacked throats, leaving weapons useless. Guns could not face poisonous air, and stones could not block gas that penetrates bodies without knocking on the door. In the basement, there was no victory or defeat. There was a single death shared by all. It distinguished neither a hand holding a weapon nor a hand holding a child. Mr. President, these images are from Douma, children and women who have died from suffocation. The entire world is speaking of a chemical attack carried out by your forces. How do you respond? These images are fabricated, a media theater. America wants to tarnish the image of the Syrian state and justify its aggression against us. The Syrian army does not use chemical weapons. These are mere lies. The anchor remains silent for a moment, staring at him sharply. The screen cuts again to images of the victims, lifeless bodies, foam at the children's mouths. With a few cold words, the lives of more than 40 people are erased, and the deaths of 500 suffocating victims are reduced to a single word: fabrication. But the images do not lie, and eyes that have gone dark cannot be part of a staged performance. In the studio, the words were easy, but in Douma, breathing was the hardest. Chemical weapons do not leave destruction in stone. They leave it in humans. And this is the ruin that cannot be rebuilt. A short pause. To breathe had become a crime. Officer, sir. Unit reports. Douma is fully besieged and cleared of gatherings. This is the fate of anyone who dares to shake the Assad regime. But history is not written by the executioner's hand alone. It is also written in the blood of those who fell with their voices raised. They believed the record of time could be erased with a single blow, and that force alone could persuade the world to forget. They failed to understand that tyranny may choke voices for a while, but one day, a cry will rise that brings it down. That night was not merely the end of a war against Douma, it was an ending inscribed on a wider page, the beginning of the end of a rule forged in iron and fear.